Hello, fans. Thank you for watching again. Always remember to like, share, comment, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. It helps this channel to grow. Um, this is a rather sad tale of domestic violence, which seems to be rather rampant in Nigeria. When it's not husbands killing their wives, it's wives killing their husbands. It's almost of epidemic proportions in Nigeria, and it's something that really needs looking into. I know many NGOs are looking into, involved in gender-based violence and things like that, so I know that quite a bit is being done about it, but that hasn't really stemmed the tide. I stumbled upon the story online, and it's really pathetic. A certain Ebere housewife has been set on fire by her husband, who simply bought petrol, doused her in it, and lit her on fire. In fact, he went about the whole thing so sloppily that he got burned himself. He is alive, of course, and receiving treatment in hospital. She wasn't as lucky. She died as a result of those burns. And on the face of it, at least, the story we currently are aware of suggests that the lady went for preparations for her mother's funeral, probably against his wishes. Why would he have anything against that? I don't know. But she went for preparations for her mother's funeral, came back, and when she returned, he noticed that she came back without any luggage. So he made inquiries as to where her luggage was, and she said, well, she will be going back very soon, and she didn't see the need to keep traveling back and forth with a whole bunch of luggage. So she left, her stuff back home, because her plan would, naturally, you would want to attend the funeral as well, not just go for the planning and come back. And anyway, I don't think that conversation went very well, because the next thing that happened was this man found it necessary to set this woman on fire. A friend of hers on Facebook, who is not too impressed with how things went, was the person to first break the story online, and these are screenshots of the lady's page. As you can see her lamenting bitterly about the fate that befell her friend. And I'm going to use this moment to speak on issues of domestic and gender-based violence, things like this. Most of the time, there are red flags while you're still courting or in a relationship or dating before the marriage happens. There are usually quite a number of red flags. This is an online story, and it has led to the death of the woman in question. But I'm also going to narrate the story of somebody I know one-on-one. I'm leaving her name out of it, of course. And this happened many years ago, about 10 years ago. But it's still so fresh in my memory. She was my neighbor. I was living in the back. It was a compound where the front had twin duplexes, and then there was a lovely smaller flat at the back that I was renting at the time. So I had 4 neighbors in the main duplex, and I was on good terms with all of them. And one of the neighbors got somewhat closer to me. She was a young lady, a young mother. I would say I was about 5-6 years older than her at the time. But once in a while, she would come sit with me in my apartment and then go back to her space. And to me, she always seemed happy. And sometimes, she'd send her daughter down. Maybe if she needed a bit of quiet time, she'd send her daughter down to come and hang out with me for a few hours and so on. So we had a friendship going on. Now, I had noticed that sometimes at night I would hear screaming and wailing and crying. But it never struck me that those wails were coming from within my compound. I always thought it was from the neighboring compound, because at night when it's still, and, with a bit of breeze and everything, you cannot really be too certain, especially when you're indoors where the noise is coming from. And in the mornings, everybody in my compound would look normal, so I never thought it was happening in my compound. Until one day, the lady, my friend, let's call her Sarah, came visiting, and I noticed she was very somber. So I asked, what's wrong? You're not your usual jovial self. She said, well, she guesses this is probably none of our business. But she was wondering why she's going around and asking all the neighbors, why is it that when she's screaming and crying and calling out for help, none of us ever come around to help her? And my mind went blank, for real. I don't understand. When have you screamed or cried? She said, come on, just 2 days ago, 2 nights ago, I was screaming and wailing at the top of my lungs, and none of you came. And I couldn't believe it. I said, that was you? She said, yes. I said, well, I hear faint sounds, but I've always thought it was from the next compound, and in the morning, everybody in this compound looks fine. I don't see anybody frowning or sad or sorrowful or anything, and you've never said anything. How was I to know it was you? I somehow think she didn't quite believe me, but that was my reality. And I asked, I said, I know I've heard these screams and cries and things. I've heard them multiple times, almost on average, like once a month. Why have you never said anything to anybody before? And then she broke it down and started explaining so many things to me, which I don't have to go into here. But some of the things, some of the petty ways her husband had of being really mean to her was if he went out and came back home and found even one plate in the sink, he would wake her up to wash it. If he came home and maybe there was a throw pillow on the ground instead of on the chair, he would wake her up to come pick it up. All of these small acts of bullying. Subsequently, at some point, he would find a reason to really beat her up. This, by her accounts, this was somebody who would tie her to the bed, and use this for, I don't know how else to express it, the DSTV cable, the one that's usually, that links to the dish. He would fold it, according to her, into strips and whip her all over, her face everywhere. So after such beatings, most times she would stay indoors until she was relatively healed before she would step out. And then she would step out and throw that mask on and just smile at everybody, and nobody would know any better. So why did you go ahead and marry this person? Oh, her mother told her all men are like that. My blood ran cold. After she told me this thing, I asked her what steps she had taken to remedy the situation. Had she told anybody? She said, yeah, she told his family, and they laughed, and they started giving her instances of other family members that he had. He will beat you and take you up to it. He will beat you up and take you to hospital. And the whole time this thing was going on, this lady had not told her parents. She kept it. Her mother was aware, because her mother knew right from when they were dating, but it was always her mother's position that that's how men are. So she didn't see any need to bring her father into it. Not until one particular day when this man beat her so bad that he threw her off the balcony. Luckily for her, he didn't lift, and just what happened was she tried climbing over the balcony and was still holding onto the rails. So he came and, opened her hands and made sure that she fell. But the good thing was, because of that delay and the gap between, somehow her fall was not bad enough to cause any major injury. And that was when she brought her father into the picture. And it was her father that got her out of that mess. It took a real father who hears his child's voice to do that. In Ebere's case now, this lady who was doused in petrol and set on fire, the whole thing is sketchy. We only have her friends, her Facebook friends' narration of what she thinks happened, because she wasn't there either. One thing I'll tell you for free is this. Many of us women mistake stalking and unnecessary close smacking. You know what close smacking is if you're a Nigerian. We think it is a sign of love. It is not. Usually a man who is close marking you too much, 9 out of 10 times there's something wrong with that person. It's not normal. And it's a control thing. And believe me, you see that man that calls you every 2 hours, whether he's working or whether he's eating, or every 2 hours he's calling you. A large number of them are calling 6, 7 other women in that same pattern. And all of you are feeling very important. There's nothing to feel important about. I'm not saying that a man who calls you is automatically, but when it is too much, it is usually some kind of subterfuge, trying to pull the wool over your eyes. It's deceptive, it is controlling, it is narcissistic. There's nothing good about it. I know, because I have seen people do these things in my presence. People I know. People whom, because of this platform, I'll just refer to as friends. You pick the phone, talk to this woman. Where are you? What are you doing? Okay, I'll talk to you later. Martha, you, where are you? Okay, I called you 5 minutes ago. Why did you not pick? Okay. Esther, where are you? Okay, fine. I'll see you tomorrow. Caro, yes. Well, I have seen this happen more than once. And again, I'm repeating myself. It's good for a man to be in touch. And there might be 1 or 2 who do things like that because they're so enamored with you. They love you so much. The bulk of them are not doing it from a good place. Sometimes that person that is calling to know where you are, already has in mind, he wants to go and pick another babe and go somewhere, and he doesn't want you guys to bump into each other. So he's trying to understand your movement first before he will do what he wants to do. I'm not being cynical. I'm talking of things I have seen with my own eyes. And usually these men that also tend to be this highly possessive want to keep 6, 7 different women, and they don't want any of those women to stray or be seen with any other man. Now, when you make the big mistake, another thing is this, out of the bunch, out of all these women that they are trailing around and doing this rubbish to, the one they will eventually marry is the one that they know is completely under their control. If you're the kind of person that every now and then you challenge what they say, no, I don't agree with that thing. Prepare yourself. He's not marrying you. You don't have the quality he's looking for. You're not dim enough. Such men are looking for women that they can control absolutely. From her dressing, to her hair, what she eats, where she goes, whether she continues working or not, whether she has kids or not, they want how she engages with her friends, how she engages with her family, who she's talking to on the phone, whether she's in any social media platform, the content that is on that platform. When you meet that kind of person, run. There's nothing good that will come out of it. Nothing good will come out of it. Ladies, please learn to spot the red flags. And when you spot these red flags, do not ignore them. It is better to remain single than to marry a man who will drain happiness out of your life. Or marry somebody where you'll wind up maimed or killed. Some people are fantastic pretenders. If he was pretending throughout courtship, that's different. But in many instances, we see red flags and we go into these things with our eyes wide open. Then things like this happen. May her soul rest in peace, and may justice be done where her husband is concerned.